Hey friends, I'd like to remind you once again that our Fall Classic sale continues through the month of November, so you can still get your Razed sports t-shirt for 40% off the regular price. All you have to do is go to razedsports.com/shop, pick yourself out a shirt, enter the special code CLASSIC at checkout, and get yourself a nice 40% discount. It'll really support the podcast, and you'll get a nice high-quality t-shirt designed by our friends at Cool Fire Studios. Thank you so much. Now, on with the show.
This far into the season, it's never going to feel 100%. I mean, it's just not. So with stuff like that, I mean, yeah, it sucks if like maybe long bus ride and you got to pitch that day after the long bus ride, you don't get like a solid night's sleep. But you know, if you're not feeling your best, you still have to go out there and produce. So something I just try to take it at face value and just roll with it.
Every young baseball player dreams of taking the field in the major leagues, but even the best find out quickly that it takes more than dreaming to get there. It takes talent, hard work, and even a little bit of luck.
There's times where I've kind of had things planned in my head and like expected them to go a certain way, and they normally don't.
Welcome to Season 2 of the Razed Sports Podcast, in which we'll go deep into the minor leagues and follow a prospect as he works towards what he hopes will be a shot at the big leagues.
The organization's going to test me, and if I can hold up, then great. If not, then they'll find somebody else, and that's kind of the nature of the business.
He'll endure long bus trips and short paychecks. He'll tinker with his game as the competition gets tougher, and he'll battle through the aches and pains that come with a long season.
It's just part of the game. I mean, playing a little bit banged up. I mean, you're never going to feel 100%, in a 140-game season.
And along the way, he'll constantly look for any edge to improve his game, to impress, to find a way to advance up the minor league ladder.
When I'm my best is when I'm not thinking too much and I'm just out there to embarrass the hitter. For the rest of my career, just out to show the world.
And a swing and a miss, strike three. Pumps the fastball past Benson up in the zone.
Episode 6, Just Roll With It. The great Ernie Harwell once said, "Baseball is a lot like life. It's a day-to-day existence, full of ups and downs. You make the most of your opportunities in baseball as you do in life." One thing you could add is that with all these ups and downs, things can be very unpredictable. Even the greatest players can have bad days. Even the most obscure can have great moments. That's just the nature of the game. To succeed in baseball, you have to learn how to deal with those unpredictable moments that are sometimes just out of your control. As Cole Uvila embarked on the second half of the 2019 season, he was on a roll. He'd been pitching really well entering the All-Star break, a break that he used to refine and improve his curveball. He expected the pitch to take his game to an entirely new level. His first appearance of the second half came on June 22nd at home against the Salem Red Sox, and it was a good sign. Cole pitched 2 scoreless innings, striking out 3. Then, the Down East Wood Ducks hit the road for the first of 2 rather long road trips over the next couple of weeks, a stretch in which they'd go 26 days without a day off. Cole's next outing came on June 25th in Zebulon, North Carolina, against the Carolina Mudcats, and this game was a perfect example of how unpredictable and even sometimes unfair baseball can be. Cole entered in the 8th inning, protecting a 6-0 lead, and the outing started off well enough with a strikeout. Then, things got a little bit weird.
And a breaking ball comes in and hits Morrison. That got him on the front right knee.
Cole has a 2-2 count on the second hitter when a curveball comes in with a little more break than he anticipated, and it hits the batter.
He takes his base, and Uvila certainly did not intend that, putting on a base runner here with the Woodies in front 6-0.
He gets 2 strikes on the next batter, tries to throw a fastball up in the strike zone. Remember, that's a big focus for him. But he leaves it a bit too low, and it's laced up the middle. Cole strikes out the next guy, so now he can get out of this jam with any kind of out. But the next hitter
The third guy had a swinging bunt, which was a 2-strike changeup that he, was fooled on and just barely got the bat on it, and it went like it was as if he bunted it down the third baseline.
A roller towards third base. This is going to be an infield single. Uvila picks it up. He'll have no play. And a swinging bunt breaks up the shutout for the Mudcats here in the 8th.
I went over and fielded it. I watched the guy run in. So that's 1 run.
Despite all this, Cole can still get out of this with an out, and it looks like he will when he coaxes a routine grounder to third base.
First and second, 2 away, 2-1 pitch to Feliciano. His rolled to third, it hits third, and caroms into left field, a base hit. Hairston around third, he'll come in to score. And back-to-back, simply lucky hits for the Mudcats. So after a swinging bunt single, a ground ball off the third base bag plates a run. And Uvila has given up 3 hits, but in all likelihood should be out of the inning.
The next batter draws a walk, taking a couple of borderline pitches that are called balls, and that ends Cole's night. He ends up getting credited for 4 runs, and his ERA at Down East climbed from 2.48 to 3.64. The crazy thing about all of this was, Cole was throwing hard, and he had control of his pitches. He felt really good.
It's kind of the way the game goes sometimes. I mean, it's can be pretty unforgiving, and it wasn't like something I was really beating myself up about, because it's more, the results are important, and like it is a production game, and it is crummy to come out and not get out of an inning for your team, and obviously for those reasons I was disappointed. But for the process, I guess the bigger picture, I felt really good. I felt like I had command of 3 pitches, which has been at times a struggle for me. And so I wasn't like obviously excited about the outing, but mentally it wasn't as hard on me as maybe the box score would say.
Sometimes you'll hear baseball players say after a rough outing that you have to flush it. Simply forget about it and move on, especially when things happen that are beyond your control. This was kind of how Cole felt about it. He wasn't going to dwell on it. He felt his stuff was good, and sometimes bad things just happen anyway. It helped him when his coaches confirmed his feelings.
It's always good to hear that. Like, it's always good to get with your coaches and kind of be like, hey, what'd you have? What'd you think? What'd you see? And when he kind of, confirms or my thoughts, it makes you feel better. You obviously never feel good though. Like I said, I mean, it sucks and kind of annoying, I guess is the way I'd put it. But like I said, it's not the end of the world, and the coaches see that. They see, and the Rangers can see that too. There's actually a couple, funny enough, there was a couple front office guys in town for that outing. So that was, obviously not the result you're looking for. But they can see that. They've been around the game long enough, and they understand that the box score looks a lot worse than the actual outing. So
games like this are tough, but it's just one challenge in a sport full of them. Every day is full of ups and downs. When you're on a 26-day stretch with no off days, there isn't a lot of time to reflect anyway. It's on to the next city, the next opponent, the next game, the next set of challenges. From Zebulon, the Wood Ducks got back on the bus and headed to Lynchburg, Virginia, 3 hours away. After 4 games there, they'd return home to Kinston for 3 games before hitting the road again to Salem, Virginia, on to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, then back to Kinston. In all, it was about 13 hours of bus time in a 7-day stretch. This is all part of life in the minor leagues, maybe one of the toughest things about it. It's not the major leagues, nor is it meant to be. The stadiums don't have upper decks, the clubhouses aren't luxurious, and you're not flying charter. There's a reason they're called the bus leagues.
The road trips are definitely, when you have like a getaway day to the next place, and then the night, the games at night, it kind of makes for like some tough conditions as far as like, because like if the game gets over at 10 and then it's a 4-hour drive, people aren't getting on the bus till 11:30, and then you get in at 3, 4 a.m. and then you got to get up, get to the field. Or, our coaches have pretty good feel and, understand that those nights they're not really asking us to get in early or anything. So, but it still kind of takes its toll at times, and it's just part of the grind.
What's it like on the bus? Well, for a guy like Cole, it's not great. For one thing, when it comes to bus travel, you're either the kind of person that can sleep on the bus or you're not. Some guys figure out how to make it work.
Guys are laying on the floor of the bus, or they're got their legs up. Actually, our hitting coach, he has a like a swimming pool, like floaty thing that he blows up and lays on the floor of the bus and sleeps on that. So it's pretty smart. I might try that one next year.
But Cole, who is 6'4", can't really sleep on the bus. He just can't get comfortable. It doesn't help that he never gets a row to himself. As a newly drafted player and a relief pitcher at that, he doesn't have the clout.
Yeah, it's kind of like a seniority thing as far as like kind of the way it goes is like how long you've been in the org gets priority on your own row. And then if you repeat the level, so if guys that were in Down East last year and are back this year get their own row. And then the next in line is starting pitchers and catchers. And then relievers are, especially a 2018 drafted reliever, is pretty much the lowest on the totem pole. So I'm doubled up pretty much every ride, but it's no problem.
So to pass the time, Cole might watch something on Netflix or dive into the board game Risk. Teammate and fellow reliever Michael Machuela got a bunch of players to download the Risk app, and they're all competing against each other, fighting for world domination. It helps pass the time, but even that becomes a bit monotonous after a while.
Yeah, like 6 of us pitchers were playing pretty much every second we were on the bus for a while, but we kind of burnt it out lately. We haven't been playing as much because we had played so much Risk in like a few weeks.
When the bus arrives at its destination, Colt checks into his hotel, calls his fiancee Kayla to say goodnight, and gets to bed for a few hours sleep before it's time to get up and head to the park.
This far into the season, it's never going to feel 100%. I mean, it's just not. So with stuff like that, I mean, yeah, it sucks if like maybe long bus ride and you got to pitch that day after the long bus ride, you don't get like a solid night's sleep. But if you're not feeling your best, you still have to go out there and produce. So something I just try to take it at face value and just roll with it.
Now that we've mentioned Kayla, this seems like a good time to bring up the fact that Cole isn't the only person who has to learn how to roll with it. Kayla, back home clear across the country in Washington, has learned to adapt to the baseball life too. She has a career of her own, so that's why she's in Washington. Kayla is a behavior technician. She provides in-home therapy as well as parent training for kids who have autism. She's also far from foreign to sports. Kayla played softball in high school and in college. She was a middle infielder first at Highline Community College, then the University of Puget Sound. She also pitched later in her career. So she knows the deal. Still, the lack of control over things, where Cole might be from year to year or even month to month, it isn't always easy.
I mean, before all of this, I was like such a type A person that wanted like everything kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say like planned out, but like at least thought about, And now it's just, I have like zero say in anything. So I've quickly learned to kind of just like go with the flow and like, we'll figure it out as we go. So it's definitely different for me, but it's pretty fun too.
Kayla and Cole started dating in the summer of 2015, when Cole was home after his junior season at Georgia State. They had a natural way of getting along, and she was drawn to Cole's easygoing humor and positive energy.
I mean, it just felt like very natural, and he's like such an easy person to get along with. So he's very like welcoming and kind, but also just it felt like we had so much in common, and like more so I just like enjoyed his company more than anything. And then I just like, obviously fell in love with him, but he's just a great person to be around. And he's just hilarious. He's just like always making people laugh, like loves to be the center of attention. And that's just, I love that type of energy and atmosphere. And it was just like so much fun from the very beginning.
But as the summer wound down, they had a choice looming. Cole was returning to Georgia State for his senior year. What were they going to do? Was it a summer romance or something more? It was an all-or-nothing situation.
I was like, well, it just didn't make sense to stop talking, or like not try. So it was just, we kind of just went all in and we're like, we'll figure it out as we go. And I feel like we're still kind of figuring it out, being far apart from each other, but it's not, you learn to deal with it,
They might not have known it at the time, but it turned out that Cole's remaining time at Georgia State was simply good training for the future. Since he was drafted in 2018, Cole has been assigned to Arizona for spring training, to Spokane in the eastern half of Washington State, and this season to 2 stops in North Carolina. Where he'll be in the future is anybody's guess, and so Kayla has learned to adjust to the twists and turns of baseball, just like Cole has.
I feel like at the beginning it was a little hard because I just had like a million questions, but then he was like, I got no answers, so we're going to figure it out as we go. And I'm like, okay, so now I just am really like, go with the flow and we'll see what happens and just kind of like enjoy the ride, I guess.
How they do it is a lot of communication. They FaceTime every night before bed, even if it's just a few minutes at the end of a long bus trip. And Cole has found that he has time to text her during the day, an advantage to being a pitcher and not having to take batting practice or infield.
There's a lot of time to like text back and forth, stay in the loop with what she's doing. And yeah, it's something, it's obviously not like ideal, but I think because our relationship started with long distance pretty much. We met in the summer of 2015, and then I had to go back to school in Georgia. So, I think all things considered, we handle it pretty well. And like I said, it's not ideal, but we do get the whole off season together. She tries to come out once a month, and it's been, all things considered, pretty good transition.
The other thing that helps Kayla deal with a situation over which she has so little control is to plan as much as she can. For instance, the couple got engaged last winter, but the wedding isn't set. They just know it'll probably be a couple years out and definitely not during baseball season.
Just really just like trying to visit as much as possible and making sure like when I am coming home, like trying to plan something in the near future to like look forward to. So it's not like, oh, when am I going to go there next? Or, it doesn't ever feel like, oh, I'm never going to see him again. Like we try to plan it out so it seems very seamless and then just stay busy pretty much when I'm not there.
One positive in all of this, Kayla said, is the opportunity to experience things she never would have otherwise. She says that 10 years ago, she would have thought the notion of driving across the country was laughable. Now she's done it multiple times and insists it's actually fun and she'd love to do it again. That's part of the baseball experience. It's a crazy life, a vagabond life, but you learn to deal with the short-term twists and turns, to the long hours on the road, to the uncertainty, and to take lessons from the ups and downs of baseball and of life, all while keeping your eye on the big prize, the long-range goals. By the way, remember that crazy outing Cole had, where everything seemingly went wrong, and he ended up being charged with 4 runs? Well, he was back on the mound 4 days later, June 29th, in Lynchburg. He entered in the 7th inning, with the Wood Ducks trailing 2-1, and he got through that inning fine. In the top of the 8th, the Wood Ducks tied it, and Cole kept it there with a scoreless bottom of the inning. In the 9th, it was still tied, and now he really had it rolling. That curveball he worked so hard to fix over the All-Star break, it was as sharp as it had ever been.
Uvila, the 0-2 now, and a breaking ball, swing and a miss, strike 3. Collins, a half-hearted effort, couldn't do anything with that one. And a big 12-6 spender for Uvila strikes out the Hillcats catcher for out number 1.
That was a good bounce back outing. Since the All-Star break, I added a curveball and I'm not throwing my slider anymore. I'm just throwing the curveball exclusively. And that was kind of a step forward with the curveball. I had a couple strikeouts with the curveball, and it was exciting. By the third inning, I really just hit my stride and was felt really good and going right after guys.
Uvila deals and a called strike 3. A breaking ball in the outside corner. Back-to-back strikeouts to begin the ninth for Uvila, who now has 3 straight dating back to last inning. And the bases
3 scoreless innings, 3 strikeouts, and a major step taken with the curveball. That bad game was forgotten, and Cole was pushing ahead. Time to hop back on the bus, go to the next stop, the next game, the next challenge. He was rolling with it. Thanks for listening to the Razed Sports Podcast. This episode was written and produced by me, Bob Harkins. Music credits go to Broke for Free, Ari De Niro, and Jazar, and the theme song comes from DL Sounds. Broadcast game audio courtesy of play-by-play announcer Matt Present, AM 960 The Bull, and the Down East Wood Ducks. Special thanks as always to Cole Uvila for letting me follow along with him throughout the 2019 season, and also to Kayla Andrus for taking part in this episode. Coming up in episode 7, we dive into another game Cole loves, poker. Cole talks about how he supplements his minor league income by playing cards, and details some of the similarities between poker and baseball.
It's not going to be easy when you're facing me. I'm not just going to, lay down and lay balls in there for you to hit. I'm going to try to strike you out and embarrass you.
I'm Bob Harkins, and this is Razed Sports. Thanks for listening.